Hi Hoopers, Michelle McCoy here with Autumn Flow, and I'd like to share with you a fun, more advanced elbows combo that I've really been loving in my flow lately. I'm going to demonstrate it first and then we will break it down. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so I am using my 31-inch 3/4 UV Pink Poly Pro, and I would recommend using a hoop that you're just used to flowing with, that you can elbow hoop with, because obviously that is a prerequisite, and there are several prerequisites to this move. I'm sure that you can pick them out easily. Obviously, elbow hooping, we'll cover elbow breaks briefly. We'll also briefly cover the elbow weave and a behind the back juggle toss. It's definitely a prerequisite if you need help with that. I have a detailed tutorial on my YouTube channel, and just some other basic moves like a tuck toss, basic understanding of an elbow weave, and a release into a chest roll. We'll cover all of that a little bit, but the main focus of this tutorial is learning how to piece them all together into a fun, flowy combo. So you definitely start practicing this tutorial on bare skin to expose your elbows, and with a hoop that has grip tape on the inside diameter or that's sanded. And there was really pretty UV yellow grip tape on this inside diameter of this hoop, but it got ripped off by my 4-year-old. So this is going to be a little bit more challenging with a bare, smooth hoop. So yeah, let's get started. So you want to start in a juggle toss, and this is a basic juggle toss, behind the back juggle toss, except when you release it, instead of going back up to your dominant hand, which I am left hand dominant, by the way, and I hoop to the right. So if you are right hand dominant and you hoop to the left, you'll probably just reverse everything that I'm doing here. So I'm releasing the hoop from my left hand, going to my right hand behind the back. So from here, you're actually going to release the hoop, give it a flick up, and then spin around. And this is probably one of the hardest parts of this combo is when you spin around, you gotta whip your dominant elbow around to stick it right into the hoop to begin your elbow hooping. So the first thing that you should focus on is how you release the hoop behind your back. You really want to be able that you have a lot of control over the hoop's direction and momentum, rotating on your hand behind your back. And when you release it, bounce at the knees to help you control aiming the hoop. And you want to aim for the hoop to come right about here so that it's framing your upper body. You don't want to release it too high, or when you whip around with your elbow, it's just going to bounce off the top of your elbow. So aiming the direction of your hoop to match up with the correct placement of your elbow is really important. So let's put that together now. I want to also just become aware of your footwork here. You want to make sure that you're whipping around pretty fast and you're not tripping yourself in the process. So just find whatever spinning footwork works best for you. So from our behind the back juggle toss, catching the hoop on our elbow as we whip around. So you kind of have to just like stick your elbow out there and trust that the hoop will catch on it, because obviously you are spinning away from the hoop and you can't see it as you're spinning. So when you stick your elbow in the hoop, make sure that you got a nice perpendicular angle so that the hoop doesn't slide off or slide up. And you kind of have to just find that sweet spot on your elbow to go into this next part, which is the elbow breaks. So the hoop will be rotating backwards. I'll come a little bit closer for this part. The hoop is going to be rotating backwards on your elbow here. You're going to want to take your arm out and go into some elbow breaks. And I'll just cover this move briefly. Take your arm out when the hoop's large opening is above you, and then immediately go into your first break on the hoop's upswing with the back of your wrist in that crease area right there, and then immediately into your second break with the hoop coming into the crease of the inside of your hand. So kind of in the palm of your hand like this, and your hand is kind of going to be at an angle. So this is kind of the motion of your breaking hand. So again, we're elbow hooping. The hoop is going to be going in the backwards direction. So you do 1, 2, 3 breaks because you want the hoop to still be rotating backwards when we go into the elbow weave. Okay, so I cover the elbow weave extensively in my Refresh Your Flow course, so I'm just going to cover it briefly here. So you want to wait for when the hoop is right here. And as you feel the hoop come into contact with that contact point on your arm, you want to begin turning towards the hoop and pinch the hoop against your body. As you continue spinning, you're going to do a complete 360. And that is really, really important because the hoop is staying on a straight vertical plane during this entire combo. And if you don't complete the 360 and you try to release the hoop at an angle, it's going to get really, really wobbly and fall. So you want to make sure that you whip all the way around to a 360. So to get down the motion of that, you could even maybe just practice it on your hand. So rolling the hoop on your hand, grabbing it, going into a 360, and then as soon as you get back to your starting point, you release the hoop back into the roll. So rolling on my hand backwards, grab it, spinning 360, releasing it back into a spin. And there you go. So that's the motion that the hoop is doing, except it's going to be on your elbow, which is a lot trickier. Okay, so you can see there how important it is that you really make a 360. And at first, it might kind of look like you're struggling to really get all the way around with the hoop pinched there. It's not going to look pretty from the start. So it's a learning process. It's one of those moves that will just smooth out with practice. And I can explain this trick to you perfectly, break it down piece by piece. But really what this move comes down to is putting in the practice that's needed and learning through a little bit of trial and error. So basically, to get into the elbow weave, hoops rolling backwards, you're going to wait until the hoop is right here. You're going to begin spinning towards the hoop and pinch your elbow down against your body. So the hoop is kind of near your armpit here. You're going to be doing the 360 as the hoop's momentum carries it back up, back into a backwards weave on your elbow. So again, I'll show you that movement from a different angle. So you're in elbow hooping, do your breaks, hoop is spinning backwards. You pinch it right here after the upswing, go all the way around, and now you can see the hoop is coming back up, and this is when you want to straighten out that elbow again and create a level shelf for the hoop to begin rotating around again. It might be tempting to stick your arm out at that point as soon as you release the hoop to try to catch it. but try to avoid that. The hoop's more likely to slip off your arm if you do that. You want to keep that elbow nice and pointed and level and firm, and that will be your best bet to keep control of the hoop. So, show it to you again from this angle. And you can see how I kind of like whip down and up. So I kind of like scoop my elbow down and up. That helps me to keep the hoop pinched there. And what'll happen if you don't pinch the hoop hard enough is it'll just fall and hit the ground as you're turning. So I'll cover that more extensively in my Refresh Your Flow course. That's just kind of a crash course on the elbow weave. So after the elbow weave, when the hoop comes back around and it's rotating backwards on your arm, watch for when the hoop is coming towards you and grab it, just to whatever timing works for you. ISO pop it out into a continuous K-roll. And I have a tutorial for the continuous K-roll on my YouTube channel. And then you're going to do a tuck toss, and you want to do a fairly high tuck toss to give you time to turn towards the hoop and stick your non-dominant elbow into the hoop. It's a little bit windy out here and it's not working in my favor. So tuck toss, non-dominant elbow, dominant elbow, and then a quick release to complete a half chest roll. So it's all very quick motion. So tuck toss, elbow, elbow, chest roll. And then you can do whatever from there, just continue flowing. So a couple quick troubleshooting tips before I run out of daylight here. When you are releasing the hoop from the behind the back juggle toss, be careful that you don't release the hoop too close to your body because that will happen and you will hit yourself in the face or the head. You want to aim to keep the hoop out a little bit, because keep in mind that you're going to have at least this much distance away for the hoop to be away from your body to get your elbow in. So when you release the hoop behind your back, don't hold your arm too close to your body as it's rotating behind your back. Try sticking it out a little bit so that the hoop still stays on a nice vertical plane, but it's not like way against your body. And let me grab my hoop real quick. Throughout this whole combo, the hoop is staying on a vertical plane. So keep that in mind. Practice it somewhere that you have a lot of open space with a level ground, not like this where there's like random roots coming out of the ground trying to trip me. Oh, and I think I mentioned that the first elbow break is against your wrist. That's the case if the hoop is rotating forward, but in this case, since the hoop is rotating backwards, the first break is gonna be in the palm of your hand, crease of your wrist. So you'll be, bam. That is the first break. And then when you grab the hoop, I'm grabbing it just in between my thumb and my fingers, just kind of allowing my arm to follow the hoop's rotation to kind of buffer its catch, and then immediately popping it out into that K-roll. And when you insert your elbows into the hoop for the elbow pass, aim to insert your elbows fairly close together. You don't want them like too far apart or they're not gonna be facing the same direction, and you gotta have that nice straight plane for the hoop to rotate on. And it's making just barely one rotation on your non-dominant elbow, and then just slide it out as it makes one rotation on your dominant elbow. And as that's happening, prepare your receiving arm for the chest roll. And when you release the hoop off of your dominant elbow for the chest roll, it's just a very gentle release. You just kind of lift your elbow up and allow the hoop to naturally slide off of it. If you put like too much into it, then you're going to get too much height. You could, of course, do that if you're going for a different ending effect to the combo. But for the chest roll, it's just a very gentle release. And then I like to do a little sweep behind the back. Some sort of cool move over here. And that's pretty much it for this elbow sequence. Again, just practice this in little pieces. Focus on the moves that are giving you the most trouble first, and then maybe add one or two other moves to it until you can piece together the whole combo. And take it slow. Really try to bring your awareness to all of the moving pieces and then slowly adding them all together as a whole. So this combo is fairly advanced. It can get kind of overwhelming, so it helps to just bring your breath into the practice. So I'll give you a quick example of how I match the rhythm of my breath with the rhythm of my movements with the hoop, and it just helps to keep me in the right mindset and in the present moment. And it's just a very good meditative, mindful practice. So when I begin my juggle toss, I'll usually inhale slowly and deeply in through my nose, and then after I whip around and I begin my elbow hooping, I begin to exhale. So I'm going to start there. And then I go into my breaks as I inhale, exhale at the weave. Inhale, isopop, K-roll. Exhale at the elbow pass. This is also just a really good exercise to bring into your hoop practice because it stretches out your energy. You don't want to start breathing so heavy that you can't flow anymore. So I'm always encouraging people to bring mindful, meditative practices into their time with their hoop. And that's pretty much it for this combo. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Feel free to ask me any questions. If you need any additional help with some of the more basic moves that we covered, like elbow hooping, the tuck toss, chest roll, I cover those all in my complete online guide to hoop dance course, which is available at autumnflow.com. And my more intermediate, advanced, refresh your flow hoop dance course will be released very soon. So thank you for watching and happy hooping.